Here's a list of top 20 bizarre historical facts with a humorous twist to keep you entertained and scratching your head at just how strange history can be. 1. The Great Emu War, 1932. Australia, land of the terrifying wildlife, once declared war on emus. Yes, giant flightless birds. After World War I, emus were destroying crops, so the government sent soldiers armed with machine guns to fight them. Spoiler alert, the emus won. Turns out, they're not just fast, they're basically feathered ninjas. 2. Napoleon was defeated by bunnies. Napoleon Bonaparte conquered much of Europe but was no match for rabbits. After a hunting trip, he faced a horde of bunnies that his staff had gathered. Instead of fleeing, the rabbits charged at him. Napoleon retreated, proving that even the greatest military strategist couldn't handle attack rabbits. 3. The dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg, hundreds of people danced uncontrollably for days, some literally dancing to their deaths. Historians still can't figure out why. Was it stress, ergot poisoning, or just an early version of TikTok gone wrong? Either way, it was the deadliest dance party in history. 4. Caligula's horse was almost a senator. Roman Emperor Caligula had an interesting political vision. He tried to make his horse, Incitatus, a senator. The horse was given a marble stall, jeweled collars, and even servants. Now, naysayers stopped this promotion, but it's safe to say that Caligula's horse was definitely the main event. 5. Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than the pyramids. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing, 1969, than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids were built around 2560 BC, while Cleopatra ruled in the 1st century BC. So, while we picture Cleopatra chilling next to pyramids, she was actually closer to watching Apollo 11 on TV, if TVs existed. 6. The Great Molasses Flood, 1919, in Boston, a giant tank of molasses exploded, sending a 25-foot wave of sticky syrup through the streets at 35 miles per hour. It claimed 21 lives and caused massive destruction. Imagine being taken out by molasses. It's a tragic story, but also, imagine explaining that in the afterlife. 7. The shortest war in history lasted 38 minutes in 1896, the Anglo-Zanzibar War lasted just 38 minutes. That's shorter than an episode of Friends. The British demanded the Sultan of Zanzibar step down, he refused, they opened fire, and boom, the war was over. Blink, and you would have missed the world's most efficient war. 8. The Eiffel Tower was almost temporary. The Eiffel Tower, Paris' iconic landmark, was supposed to be dismantled 20 years after the 1889 World's Fair. Fortunately, it was saved because it became useful as a giant radio tower. Imagine Paris without the Eiffel Tower. It's like New York without the Statue of Liberty, or Netflix without a true crime documentary. 9. Emperor Nero played the lyre while Rome burned. Legend has it that Emperor Nero played music while Rome burned in AD 64. Historians debate whether this is true, but if it is, it's the ultimate, I'll just vibe and let things burn down around me, moment. Nero's coping mechanism. Apparently, it was lyre therapy. 10. The US Army tried to make bat bombs during World War II. The US military developed bat bombs, actual bats that were equipped with tiny incendiary devices. The plan was to release the bats over Japan, where they'd roost in buildings and set them on fire. Luckily, the plan was scrapped, or else we might have had a real-life Batman origin story. 11. Mozart's quirky sense of humor. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, one of history's greatest composers, had a weird sense of humor. He loved writing letters full of toilet jokes and composing songs with titles like Leck mich im Arsch, which translates to, well, let's just say it's not something you'd hear on classical radio today. 12. Peter the Great's beard tax. Russian Tsar Peter the Great introduced a beard tax in the 17th century to modernize Russia and encourage men to shave. If you wanted to keep your facial hair, you had to pay. Imagine being fined for your hipster beard in today's world. Some people would be broke. 13. The toilet paper crisis of 1973. In 1973, a US congressman joked that there might be a toilet paper shortage. The American public didn't realize it was a joke and immediately started panic buying toilet paper, creating an actual shortage. Turns out, mass hysteria over toilet paper isn't just a 2020 thing. 14. Einstein was a patent clerk before becoming the genius we all know. Albert Einstein worked as a patent clerk. Imagine reviewing people's inventions all day while secretly developing the theory of relativity in your spare time. Casual side hustle. 15. Pope Gregory IX declared war on cats in the 13th century. Pope Gregory IX declared cats to be instruments of the devil and ordered their extermination. This led to a rise in the rat population, which many historians believe contributed to the spread of the Black Plague. So, in a roundabout way, the Pope's war on cats helped the rats win. 16. King Tut's parents were siblings. Yep, King Tutankhamun's parents were brother and sister. Ancient Egyptian royalty often married within the family to keep the bloodline pure, but it didn't do much for their health. Tut's genetic issues probably stemmed from this, proving that family reunions were also a little awkward. 17. Beethoven was a messy genius. Ludwig van Beethoven was a musical genius, but he was also a bit of a slob. He would dump water on himself while composing to keep his creativity flowing, and his housekeeping skills were non-existent. Rumor has it his apartment looked like a teenager's bedroom, just with more symphonies lying around. 18. The Ottoman Empire sent a giant cheese wheel to France in 1801. The Ottoman Empire sent Napoleon a massive cheese wheel as a peace offering. The cheese was so big that it took 200 cows to make, and it eventually went bad before anyone could eat it. Napoleon might have said, "I came, I saw, I smelled cheese." 19. The CIA tried to spy on the Soviets with cats in the 1960s. The CIA tried to use cats as spies by implanting listening devices in them and releasing them near Soviet embassies. The project, called Acoustic Kitty, ended when the first cat was hit by a taxi. Proving once again, cats do not follow orders. 20. Giraffe diplomacy, 1827. The Pasha of Egypt sent a giraffe to King Charles X of France as a diplomatic gift in 1827. Parisians went wild for the giraffe, and it sparked a giraffe craze across Europe. People even started wearing giraffe-patterned clothing. Who knew giraffes could start a fashion trend? Bonus: the chicken that lived without a head in 1945, a farmer beheaded a chicken named Mike, but Mike didn't die. Instead, he lived for 18 months without a head, thanks to a missed jugular artery. Mike became a sideshow attraction, proving that sometimes, you really can be a chicken with your head cut off. History sure is weird, right? These bizarre facts prove that our past is full of strange, hilarious, and downright unbelievable moments.